Hi, and welcome to the first episode of the Time Travel Art Show. Essentially, this is going to be a school project I'm doing over the next 10 weeks. You can expect a new episode every Friday. Essentially, what the show is going to be about is it's going to be about 20 minutes of me rambling into my phone about some artist throughout history and their art and how they impacted culture and artistic culture throughout their lives. Because I think we've all been impacted by art or artists in some way, whether it's indirectly or directly. So I think it's important to know more about them. And while you may know the names like Leonardo da Vinci and Van Gogh, you might not know a lot about their lives and who they were as people and what led them to do what they did. And that's what I want to figure out. Now, for this episode, I think it's important to introduce myself and who I am, as you might be listening to me for the next 10 weeks. It's important to know who you're talking to or listening to. My name is Austin, and I'm a 17-year-old. I'm a senior in high school. And really, there's not much that's interesting about me. I grew up in Florida. I moved to Indiana from there, up to New York, back down to Florida. I've really been all along the east side of America. Traveling more isn't really on my platter right now of things I want to do, but speaking of things I want to do, I've had plenty of passions through my life, and a lot of them have been art related, whether it's designing things like little logos for my cousin's YouTube channel, or trying to write music, I should say. Trying to play the music I write, but really none of them have worked out in the end. I'm not the best at it, as some might say, but one that's always been my passion is drawing. I like to draw. It's fun. It's a good stress reliever, and that's essentially the reason I'm doing this instead of some other project. I enjoy just sitting down for a good 10 to 20 minutes, maybe even an hour, and just putting my mind onto a paper in visual form. Really, I don't have a track for this episode. I do in the form of a script, but it's very loose. So that's kind of what I did for the drawing you're seeing on screen. It's a very loose drawing. There's really no direction it's taking. It's just something to look at while you listen to my voice. I suppose I should get into what we're doing today specifically. We're going to be going very far back into art, and you might be thinking Leonardo da Vinci or Van Gogh or whoever the oldest artist you can think of is. But really, we're going much further back than that. We're going to the prehistoric times. And honestly, I didn't know this, but art has been around for much, much longer than really I thought at all. Today we're going to be talking about the Bembecta petroglyphs. And yes, I probably did butcher that pronunciation because it's Indian. The Bembecta petroglyphs are really, a petroglyph is a rock carving. So they're carvings from rocks in caves. No, they're not just stories. Cavemen did paint on rocks in caves. They're found in the Madhya Pradesh region of India. and is extremely old. We used to believe that they were from around 290,000 BCE, but now, after closer examination, we know that they're at least from 700 BCE. 700,000 BCE, my bad. And that is extremely, unfathomably old. It is by far the oldest art known currently. In fact, the Biambos cave art, which used to be the oldest, is 4 times younger than the Bembekta petroglyphs. So it's kind of extreme. So really, the Bembekta petroglyphs, there should be a picture up on screen by now. If there's not, then my first time editing, my bad. The Bembekta petroglyphs are made of capules, which are essentially little domes hammered out of cave rock. And it might not look like much, but what it is it's the start almost of what art has become today. And that's a big thing to think about, Like, art has been around for much longer than words as a way of communication, and it's sort of amazing how it's evolved, I suppose. But we'll get into that in future episodes. The Bembekta petroglyphs really show that, art, has been around for hundreds of thousands of years, and it's a good way to just put your place on Earth, and I suppose we've known that for a long time now. By the way, I should mention, if you're hearing all the ambiance, it's because I decided, like a genius, to record this outside instead of inside, because I didn't want to disrupt any of the classes. By the way, this is a voiceover, just letting you know. So, what does this mean for history? At first it might not mean much, old domes and rocks, cool. But it means a lot. It's the start of art. And while it may not have an actual effect on culture back then or even now, it really shows that how long art has been around. And I suppose it shows that even back then, when humans were much, much less advanced, even they strove to express themselves. Whether it's a hunt they did, a woman they liked, so on. So what has art done for us in general? Really, art has, while it may not have improved our lives, it may have improved our lives, it's expressed them, which is, I think, personally important. And I don't know if you do, but if you don't, then whatever. I think expressing yourself is and has always been important, whether it's drawings or writing, in any way you can, because we don't get much time on Earth, and expressing yourself like that, well, it lets you stay around for nearly 700,000 years, which is a very long time. Now, like I said, I am no professional in this. I definitely don't sound the best when I'm talking, but I like to ramble about my beliefs, and this is definitely one of them. Is that we need to express ourselves. I sound like a broken record, but it's true. And that's really what we're gonna be talking about, is artists who felt that need and took it by the throat, you know? They did it, and we remember them, and I suppose it worked. Like I said, some more artists you can expect in the future are Leonardo da Vinci. We're likely going to do Picasso, Van Gogh. That's all that comes to mind right now. But I'm going to be researching, recording, and uploading all of the things I find interesting, and hopefully you guys will listen. I don't have much more to talk about, but if you would like to subscribe and listen to future recordings, then all power to you. But if my awkward pauses and me not being the best at expressing myself with my voice are bad things, or maybe my dry humor, devilishly handsome good looks that you can't see, sarcasm, if those things happen to drive you away, then like I said, all power to you. This has been the first episode of the Time Travel Art Show. Sorry it was kind of short, but I need to learn better note-taking skills on my end. And I have been Austin. I will be Austin next time too. And I guess I'll just have to hope to see you then. Bye.